Turns on the flash. So cool.
Dang, boy.
So when I get that mount for the GoPro adapter thing, I'm gonna do a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, well now it's time to go home. It's a little late. Do you have like the you can turn your flash on while you're doing video? So
No, I don't. But I've got my light and it's pretty bright.
all right, sweet.
Big Chungus the video.
Big Chungus, big Chungus, big Chungus. You swimming? It was like. So one thing I'd like to quickly point out with your rods and your gear, you don't always need to invest in like rod holders or things of that nature. A lot of times with a little ingenuity, you can make do with stuff you already have. For example, here I'm using my tackle bag as a rod holder, as a rod rest, and it keeps the rod up off the ground so it's easier to see a bite. And then with my other rod, I'm actually using my tackle box as a rod holder. You can get really creative with stuff you can use for a rod holder. My net will work in a pinch as a rod holder. This will work in a pinch as a rod holder. You just kind of put it on the ground and it'll actually hold a rod if you balance it the right way. So just be mindful of ways you can like keep it simple. You don't need to make it, you know, stupid complicated. I think simple is ultimately the goal with fishing. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Just keep it simple. Sticks and twigs and rocks and tackle boxes and bags. But yeah, we'll get back to fishing. All right, so we're going to throw this one back out and just get that thrown out there as far as you can, unless you can locate fish somewhere else. Always as far as you can with this type of stuff. Not bad, I'd say 40-50 yards on that one. And then we'll just set it down, tighten up, and wait again. Very passive fishing, just sitting and waiting. So when you're setting up your corn, you want to use a medium-sized hook most of the time. I think they're a little weary of a very big hook. And all you want to do is just take your hook. You see this is a simple J hook. And then you're going to load it up with corn. But first, before you do that, put on 4 or 5 pieces, maybe 3 or 4 pieces of corn just onto the hook. Like so. And then go ahead and take those 3 or 4 pieces and push them up, if it's going to work out, up onto the line. So then basically you have some corn on the line and also on the hook. That way when they're swiping at the bait, they're going to inhale it more because they think they want to eat all that corn. And then when they inhale it more, they're more likely to get hooked with that hook. And then just load the hook up with corn and then just put 1 more piece there on the end. So the bait will sit something like that in the water column. And that's honestly one of the best things you can do for carp, regardless of where you are. All right, I am hooked up. Spent about 1.5 minutes trying to set up my camera. We'll see if he hasn't fallen off the hook this time. But I think he's still on, even though I dorked around with the camera for a minute or two. Could be a small carp, bluegill. Yeah, he's giving head shakes. Oh, it's a carp. This reel has got a broken handle, so there's that fish, sweet. All right, so you know, I set up one of my hooks with corn. See that hook just pop out just like that. Well, that's the first fish on this new mount. Can't tell how well that angle's gonna turn out, but we'll see that this guy gets put back. We were just talking about leaving and then hooked him up. Actually, you want to try to use this guy for bait or just let him go? So yeah, you'll get to go back. We won't use you for bait, buddy. No, I'm good. There he goes. Off like a herd of turtles. First fish. We'll see if we can get hooked up with some more. Maybe a catfish. That's what we're really looking for. All right, so we have baited up the second rod here. It is also a Carolina rig. Just tied on the same line there. We're gonna walk this rod over a couple yards and throw this one out. Straight out. No real estimation as to where these fish can be, so you just put it straight out. That one's not too far out there, but we will make that work. All right, guys, so we are doing some what I would call freshwater big game. Some of the freshwater big game, of course. We are using the cut bait now on a circle hook. I don't know the exact size of this circle hook, but it's a big, strong circle hook. And then I've loaded a J hook with corn also. So that's gonna be ran on a modified Carolina rig. Hopefully it doesn't get too tangled. So let's go ahead and cast that out for you guys now. Just gonna throw it straight out this time. So that probably went 30-40 yards on that cast. Probably can't see it, but we're gonna tighten up the line and just sit and wait for a bite. I've got one more rod to throw out, and then it's just a waiting game.
Are you throwing your other rod on?
All right, so I've got this selfie stick here, trying that out. But basically, this other rod has got the drop shot rig. Maybe you can get all that in frame. We've got the drop shot weight, and then a hook and another hook. And this is the best rig I've come to know for carp. I'll probably switch my other rod over to this rig. So we'll get that thrown out and probably catch one here shortly. Every time you cast out, for these big fish and for any fish, check your drag. If it's really hard to tug, loosen up your drag a little bit until it's a little easier to tug. Because if you can barely tug that drag, then those fish are gonna break your line every time. So this one's got a lot of adjustability with the drag. But you wanna get it to where you can set the hook and let there be some drag, but not set the hook and it just takes all the drag and you lose the fish. So we'll tighten it up a little bit more. Another good way to check that is to pull on the hook itself, actually test the knot if you're not comfortable using your hand for that. All right, we're just waiting now. All right, we are back at the lake we've been working on recently. Just gonna switch things up a little this time and work with light tackle. I've got an ultralight rod on the right and then a slightly heavier rod on the left, both of them with relatively light line. We've got some gear we're gonna be working with tonight. I'll just show you some of the things that we're going to be working with. Mostly we've got the oh, I got some of these still. Those are actually pretty good. Size 4. These size 2 bait holders are actually pretty cool for corn. But then the size 8s are also pretty productive too if you want a smaller hook. And more size 2s, and then we've got some size 6 eagle claws. Same thing, just eagle claw. We'll be running the rubber mesh net, and in the box we've mostly got like some pliers, and then scales and measuring tapes, some leads, and then the top compartment's gonna include just line cutters and hooks, mostly a few more leads. Also in the kit we're packing up some white bass we'll use as cut bait to pursue those cats, and also the gripper if we do hook up with a bigger fish. So we'll get started.